Let's now bring in Awal, who's a senior lecturer at Kiel University and is an analyst on the Horn of Africa. He's via Skype from Kiel in the UK. Thank you very much for being with us. I know we've talked to you about this issue a lot in recent weeks and recent months. Why do you think first Ethiopia would start filling the Grand Renaissance Dam without having reached an agreement with Egypt and Sudan? Why now?
Well, I think Ethiopia has been negotiating for a considerable period of time in good faith, hoping to reach a negotiated settlement on this issue. But the Egyptians insisted on this idea of historic rights and current water use, which basically refers to the 1959 treaty between Egypt and Sudan, which didn't include Ethiopia, and gave the lion's share of water to Egypt. Egyptians want that to be the starting point of the negotiation. That obviously undermines Ethiopia's sovereign right to exploit its natural resources. Ethiopia tried to negotiate. It seems to be the case that I think the middle ground between the two countries is diminishing from time to time as Egyptians continue to insist on that point. So I think from the Ethiopian point of view, the only way to force Egypt to the negotiating table and to genuinely and negotiate in good faith is to start filling the dam.
But is this not going to further heighten tensions? The Egyptians a few weeks ago warned of a possible conflict, even asking the UN to get involved. Will it go as far as that, do you think, or is negotiating still possible?
Well, the Egyptians have already asked the Security Council. The Security Council is seized of the matter. Egyptians wanted the Council to look at this as a threat to international peace and security. Most potentially in the next weeks, they would want the Security Council to issue a Chapter 7 mandate, which basically treats the situation as a threat to international peace and security, and therefore puts Ethiopia and the dam under international scrutiny. But frankly, I simply don't see how that situation constitutes a threat to international peace and security. Egypt might want or might continue to use powerful actors within the international community, such as the US, the UN, international financial institutions, to put pressure on Ethiopia and the Ethiopian government. But the Ethiopian government doesn't seem to have a lot of room for maneuver because there is a solid public support and very strong public pressure on the government to get on with the task of filling the dam. So I don't see how that works for Egypt.
Let's talk about Ethiopia a bit more. You talk about the strong public support that this project has. And this is coming at a particularly significant time in Ethiopia, a sensitive time, the current context, if you will. Tell us a bit more about what is happening inside the country right now and why the Prime Minister would decide to go ahead with this at this particular time.
So my reading of the situation is that filling the dam has been projected to start this summer. By the end of last month, 29th of June, a very popular Oromo artist has been assassinated. That assassination was perceived to be political, not just by ethnic Oromos, but also by the government. And in fact, the Prime Minister accused of certain forces within the Ethiopian state to be working with external forces. I understand the reference to external forces to be Egypt. In the past, when the government referred to external forces, that was Eritrea. Now Eritrea is a close ally of the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister is referring to Egypt in that situation. While Egypt does have the motivation and the capacity to destabilize Ethiopia, but the government has not really provided evidence to link the assassination of the artist to Egypt. So Ethiopia is going through a very difficult period, and the Prime Minister is not as popular as he used to be when he came to power, or in the first in the first 1 year of him coming to power. But as far as the dam is concerned, with all the difficulties and structural challenges and uncertainties Ethiopia is facing, as far as the dam is concerned, the majority of Ethiopians are on the same page, that it is Ethiopia's sovereign right to fill and operate the dam.
Thank you very much for talking to us, Awal, and giving us your insight on this story. We appreciate your time. Thank you.